Some betrayals don't show up with lipstick on a collar or secret texts. Some grow quietly inside a woman you love, until the truth kicks so hard it knocks the air out of your lungs. To my loyal subscribers, thank you for being here. Don't forget to turn on your notifications, and if you're new, hit that subscribe button. These stories are raw, real, and based on life's most dramatic turns. Let's dive in. The world stood still the moment Melissa held out that pregnancy test. It was a regular Tuesday evening, nothing special about it. I had just gotten home from a job site, boots caked in mud, every muscle aching from another 12-hour shift. I was halfway to the front door when I saw her standing on the porch, hand behind her back, eyes wide like she'd seen a ghost and found a miracle all at once. "Tyler, we need to talk," she said. Now, usually when a wife says that, it means bad news. But her voice had something different in it. Urgency, yes, but also a strange kind of joy. She guided me into the house without another word and placed a small white stick in my palm. I stared at it, confused, until I saw the faint pink lines. "I'm pregnant," she whispered. And just like that, the floor dropped out beneath me. All the air rushed from my lungs. We had been trying for years. Doctors, tests, diets, calendars. Every month was heartbreak. And now, out of nowhere, this? "Are you serious?" I asked, barely able to breathe. She nodded, tears pooling in her eyes. "It's real. I'm finally pregnant." I wrapped my arms around her, too overwhelmed to speak. That night felt like a dream. We made dinner together. She played our wedding song, and we danced barefoot in the kitchen. For a while, it felt like everything broken had finally been made whole again. But somewhere inside, a quiet voice whispered something didn't feel right. At first, I ignored it. Love can make a man blind, and I was too happy to question anything. But the odd details kept piling up. She hadn't shown any symptoms. No morning sickness. No weird cravings. Nothing that hinted something had changed. Still, I pushed the doubts aside. Melissa was the woman I'd promised my life to. She wouldn't lie to me. Would she? The weeks flew by. She had appointments, ultrasounds, even picked out baby names. We painted the guest room a soft yellow and bought a second-hand crib from Facebook Marketplace. I started showing the ultrasound picture to my buddies like a proud dad-to-be. Then came the baby shower. That's when everything began to unravel. It was held at our house, Melissa's idea. She invited everyone, co-workers, family, friends I hadn't seen in years, and one man I had never met. He walked in like he owned the place, tall, confident, dressed way too sharp for a backyard shower. Melissa's eyes lit up the second she saw him. "Zach," she beamed, running over and giving him a hug that lasted longer than it should have. When she introduced us, I extended my hand, firm and cold. "Tyler Carter," I said. "Zach Dalton, old friend from college." That name, that smile, something about him didn't sit right. I kept my eyes on him the whole afternoon. Watch how she leaned in when he talked. Noticed how she laughed louder at his jokes than anyone else's. When she thought no one was looking, she touched his arm in ways I hadn't felt from her in months. That night, I asked her about him. "He's just a friend, babe. From before we even met." I nodded, but sleep never came easy after that. A week later, I caught his name flashing on her phone at midnight. She said it was a group chat from shower. "We're sharing photos," she shrugged. Maybe I could have let it go. Maybe I should have. But deep down, something told me this wasn't just paranoia. This was something else, something darker. That was the moment the crack in our marriage began to show. A crack that would grow wider than I ever thought possible. There's a difference between suspicion and knowing. Suspicion nags at you. It whispers. It scratches just beneath the surface like a thorn caught in your skin. But knowing? That changes everything. Knowing is a knife. Sharp, cold, final. After the baby shower, Melissa became someone else. Not all at once. No, she was smarter than that. The changes were subtle. Her phone, once left carelessly on counters or the kitchen table, was now always face down. Password protected. Always in her back pocket. Her laughter came less often. Our conversations got shorter. And sex? Well, let's just say I was beginning to feel more like a roommate than a husband. I tried to keep things normal. Try to push away the creeping thoughts. But that crack I mentioned, it kept getting wider. One morning, I came down for coffee, and there it was again. Zach's name. A text notification. Her phone was on the kitchen counter, and for once, she wasn't in the room. I didn't open it. I couldn't. I told myself I was better than that. But that moment haunted me for days. So I did something I swore I'd never do. I crossed the line. I went through her phone, and just like that, the truth was staring me in the face. There weren't hundreds of messages, just a few. Carefully deleted, maybe, but enough to gut me. Enough to know that just a friend from college had a hold on my wife that went far beyond memories and laughs. I sat there in the dark, gripping that phone like it had burned me. My heart beat so loud I was sure she'd hear it from upstairs. And that's when I saw it. One message, still open. Zach, I can't wait to see you again. Don't worry. He'll never know. I couldn't breathe. I put the phone down, walked outside, sat on the porch in the freezing cold, and stared out into the night. My wife was pregnant, but now I couldn't ignore the question that had been screaming inside me for weeks. Was the baby even mine? I didn't confront her. Not yet. I needed to be sure. I needed proof, not just a few texts and a gut feeling. So I started paying attention to things I used to overlook. She had a second prenatal appointment coming up, and she always insisted on going alone. Said the waiting rooms were boring, and I didn't need to miss work for them. This time I insisted. No, I want to be there. I told her. It's our baby. She hesitated just a beat too long, but she agreed. The clinic was bright and too cheerful. Melissa fidgeted the whole time. When they called her back, I stood up to follow, but the nurse looked surprised. Oh, you're coming too? She asked. Of course, I said, squeezing Melissa's shoulder. I wouldn't miss it. We sat together in that small room, staring at the ultrasound monitor. The heartbeat echoed like a ticking clock in my ears. And when the technician congratulated us, Melissa reached for my hand. I held hers back, but my grip was hollow. I was already miles away. Afterward, I asked her something I never thought I'd have to say to my wife. Do you love him? She froze in the passenger seat. Her hand trembled as she clutched her purse. Tyler, what are you talking about? Don't play dumb. Zach, the messages, the way you look at him, the midnight texts. Just tell me the truth. Tears welled in her eyes. But it wasn't guilt. It was fear of getting caught. It was a mistake, she whispered. It was just once. I swear. Once. Like that made it better. You're carrying a child, Melissa. Is it mine? That question broke her. She turned away. Wouldn't look at me. Wouldn't speak. That silence said everything. A man doesn't just stop loving his wife overnight. Even when he's drowning in betrayal, part of him clings to the memories, the laughter, the promises, the quiet mornings before the world stirred awake. But memories don't protect you from the truth. I wanted to believe Melissa. I wanted to believe the lie that it was just once. But every instinct inside me screamed otherwise. That wasn't the face of a woman who'd made one mistake. That was the face of someone caught in a web she helped spin. That night, I slept on the couch. Not that I slept much at all. My thoughts raced in endless circles. Was it really Zach's child? Had Melissa been lying to me for months? I kept replaying every tender moment we'd shared since the pregnancy announcement, every time I'd kissed her belly or whispered dreams to the baby inside. Dreams that might not even be mine to dream. By sunrise, I made a decision. I called my best friend Greg. He's a family lawyer, sharp, discreet, and one of the few people I trust. I need a paternity test, I told him. Greg didn't ask why. He just said, give me a few days. Melissa didn't know I was taking steps. I kept playing my part, attending doctor visits, rubbing her back at night, picking up prenatal vitamins. I think part of me wanted it to be mine so badly I was willing to live in denial until the paperwork said otherwise. Then the envelope arrived. I waited until she was out of the house to open it. I sat alone in our kitchen, heart pounding as I tore it open. Probability of paternity, 0%. I didn't cry. Not then. Not immediately. I just sat there, numb, cold, like a part of me had been erased. The baby that I had loved from the moment she told me she was pregnant wasn't mine. She came home to find me at the kitchen table, envelope in hand. I know, I said before she could even speak. She didn't deny it this time. She just crumbled, fell to the floor sobbing, hands over her face. But I didn't move to help her. I couldn't. How long, Melissa? My voice was low, flat. Her eyes met mine. Red, raw, haunted. Since May, she whispered. 5 months. 5 months of lies. 5 months of calling me daddy while carrying another man's child. And not just any man, Zach. Her college flame. Someone I had invited into our home, trusted around my wife. I didn't mean for it to happen, she cried. We were having trouble. I felt alone. I never thought it would go this far. I stood. Don't feed me that. You chose him. Over and over. You chose him when you texted him late at night. You chose him when you let him touch you. And you chose him when you let me believe this baby was mine. She grabbed my arm, desperate. Tyler, please. I pulled away. I would have given you anything, Melissa. A lifetime. A family. My heart. But you gave it all to him. Then I walked out. I moved into a small apartment downtown the same day I walked out. I didn't pack much, just the basics, really. I left the home we built, the nursery we painted together, the life I thought we shared. It all felt tainted now, like a cruel joke played out in soft pastels and ultrasound photos. The silence of my new place was louder than anything I'd heard in our house. Greg helped me file for a legal separation. He also advised I prepare for the custody conversation, even if I wasn't biologically related. She might try to name you on the birth certificate, he warned, especially if Zach wants nothing to do with it. And that was the next blow. Zach. Turns out, he ghosted Melissa the moment she told him she was keeping the baby. According to Sarah, Melissa's old friend who'd always had a thing for drama, Zach had been stringing her along, making promises, whispering regrets about their college breakup. He'd said all the right things, apparently, until the baby became real. Zach never wanted a kid, Sarah told me over coffee one afternoon. He's a smooth talker, Tyler. He was never going to stick around. I should have felt vindicated. I didn't. I just felt hollow. Word started spreading. Small town, big mouths. It wasn't long before people from church, from our neighborhood, even my co-workers, started looking at me differently. Some with sympathy, some with pity. A few with those awkward, I heard something, questions. But the worst part? Melissa didn't stop calling. She left voicemails, sent messages, even wrote me a letter, handwritten, pages long, saying how sorry she was, how she never meant to hurt me, how she wished things could go back to how they were. She said the baby kicked for the first time, and she cried because I wasn't there. She said she still loved me. She asked if I would come to the hospital when it was time. I stared at that letter for hours. I read it more times than I'll admit. And somewhere, buried in the fury and the heartbreak, I realized something terrifying. Part of me still loved her too. The baby was born in early March. A girl, 7 pounds, soft curls, tiny fingers that wrapped around Melissa's thumb. And against every ounce of logic, I went to the hospital. I stood in that room and looked at a child who wasn't mine, and still felt something I couldn't explain. It wasn't fatherhood. It wasn't obligation. It was grief. Grief for the child I thought she was. Grief for the family I thought we were. Grief for the man I used to be before everything shattered. Melissa didn't say a word. She just cried when she saw me. Whispered, "Thank you," like it meant something. I held the baby for a moment. Just once. Then I left. That was the last time I saw either of them. It's been almost a year now. The seasons changed, but so did I. The man who walked out of that hospital room wasn't the same man who had once painted stars on a nursery ceiling, hoping for a miracle. That version of me, so sure, so naive, so hopelessly loyal, was buried beneath the rubble of broken trust. But I didn't stay broken. After I left the hospital, I started therapy. I talked to a stranger about all the things I couldn't tell anyone else. How I felt stupid for not seeing the signs. How the betrayal had crushed something inside me I couldn't name. I told her about the baby. How strange it felt to hold a child that wasn't mine and still feel something. She said grief doesn't always look the way we expect it to. She was right. Melissa filed for full custody, but there was no fight. I didn't contest it. I didn't want to stand in the way of that child's life. I hoped Melissa would be a better mother than she was a wife. Zach never showed up again. No DNA test, no acknowledgement, no name on a birth certificate. The last I heard, he'd moved across the country. Typical. Melissa and I signed the divorce papers in silence. I didn't even look her in the eye. I couldn't. There was too much history between us, and none of it made sense anymore. The only thing she said before walking out of that attorney's office was, "You were always the better man." Maybe I was. Maybe I just loved harder. I sold the house. I needed a fresh start, far from that porch swing and the scent of her perfume on the sheets. I moved north, closer to the mountains. Quieter. I work remotely now, write more, hike when the weather allows. I've learned to enjoy solitude without letting it consume me. Some nights, I still think about her, about the life we almost had, about the daughter that might have been mine had life taken a different turn. But regret is a slow poison, and I don't drink from that cup anymore. People ask me if I'll ever love again. I don't know. Maybe. But next time I'll walk slower. I'll ask more questions. I'll trust, but not blindly. Love shouldn't come at the cost of yourself. What I took from this story wasn't just pain. It was clarity. Infidelity doesn't always look like lipstick on a collar or late-night texts. Sometimes it's years of pretending. It's hiding secrets behind baby names and ultrasound pictures. It's lying to the one person who would have died for you. But even in betrayal, there's a strange gift. You find yourself. You learn what you'll never settle for again. And you understand that healing isn't forgetting. It's remembering without bleeding. If you made it to the end of my story, thank you. You stuck with me through the heartbreak, the revelations, and the silence in between. If my experience reached you, even in a small way, I hope you'll share it. Turn on notifications. Subscribe for more real, emotional journeys like this one. Because stories, real stories, are how we heal. And sometimes, the truth is the most powerful ending of all. That's the end.